Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're gonna be reacting to Zack Films 12-year-old
The
boy
puppy
Legos.
they the puppy was they unlocked the ATM, opened it, then closed it again without taking any money. But hours later, they came back. One man stood in front holding up his phone, and the ATM suddenly started dumping cash. You see, they had secretly
I wish that happened to me.
installed software that let them take control. So, when the phone sent the signal, the ATM thought it was being told to pay out. The machine spit out bills until about $175,000 was gone. And even though the
Wow.
whole thing was caught on camera, the thieves were never identified. They unlocked the They built a giant bronze jar
That looks Asian.
with 8 metal dragons wrapped around the top, each holding a ball in its mouth. Below them sat 8 toads with their mouths open, and when the
Does look a bit Asian, like a culture.
ground shook far away, the jar moved with the earth, causing the dragon closest to the movement to snap open, and the metal ball dropped into a toad, showing the direction of the earthquake. They
That was so smart.
As you step down, a spring attached to the step gets stretched, letting it sink down slowly. And once you step off, the spring gets latched into place. This makes
That's genius, but I would not. You have to get used to it after a while, bro.
each step feel softer while storing the energy of your movement in the spring. When you walk up, a sensor in the floor detects the pressure from
Like a pressure plate from
your
Minecraft.
foot, and as you shift your weight forward to the next step, the latch unlocks, which pulls the previous step up with the spring, meaning you need less energy to climb the stairs.
Yo, that's genius.
If you drop a spider into a beer glass, the sides could be too smooth for it to climb out, so it could stick a strand of silk to one wall and attach the other end to the opposite side. Then it adds another strand above it, and another, slowly building a web higher and higher up the glass, and using it to climb out. But spiders only have so much silk to use, and each new line drains energy, meaning if the glass is too tall, the spider could run out of silk before reaching the rim and die before it finishes the web and escapes.
That is sad.
When winter came, she fed her children instead of herself, starving to death right in
Actually though, I do feel bad for that spider.
front of them. You see, her family had fled into the wilderness almost 30 years earlier, and the girl was born there, completely away from civilization.
Wow, it's like if you're born on the planet, one of Jupiter's moons, and you're just a complete alien, dude. It's kind of crazy.
Missing the end of World War II, the moon landing, and the invention of modern technology. They scraped by through careful hunting and constant foraging. Decades later, researchers accidentally found their cabin. The girl ate salt for the first time and saw her first TV. But even though they
Imagine imagine being born in a place where you didn't even know those things existed for your entire life. 30 years later, you see all this new technology.
offered to bring them back to their village, the family refused. Sadly, her brothers and sisters soon got sick and died, and
Ah, come on. Zack Films, did you do that on purpose?
then her father passed away in his sleep, but the girl still refused to leave. And to this day, she still lives alone in the wilderness. When winter came, she found
Garnier Color
He drilled 2 giant rings together before inflating the plastic ball inside. Then he slid through the narrow opening before stepping off the dock and into the water. You see, he wanted to run over 1,000 miles across the Bermuda Triangle to get donations for charity. But just 2 days later, the Coast Guard found him drifting, lost and confused. At first, he refused to accept their help, and it took him 3 days to finally give up.
That is crazy.
So they used a helicopter, a plane, and even a cargo ship to fish him out, costing over $100,000 in taxpayer money. And 2 years later, he tried to do it again.
No, come on, dude. Why is this guy doing this dangerous stuff, dude?
But this time, the Coast Guard immediately stopped his bubble and dragged him back to shore.
Yeah. Not smart. We told ya.
As a kid, your brain is constantly experiencing new things. Your first time eating a lemon.
When you're 25 or when you're 26, your brain is fully formed.
Your first time riding a bike, or your first time winning a prize. And some say this is why time feels slower, because there's so much new information to process. But as you get older, things that were once new now feel old and boring. So your brain just forgets parts of your day, since you don't need to remember every single thing. And this makes time feel faster. But when something happens that breaks the routine, it gives you a new experience. This makes your brain work harder as it absorbs new
That is true.
information, which makes time slow down once again. As a kid, when you press the button, you would assume it sends a signal to the traffic system so it can choose a safe moment to stop the cars before finally switching the light so you can cross. But in some cities, this button doesn't do anything.
Oh, yeah, that is right.
Pressing it just makes people feel like they're in control, which makes them less likely to run into traffic. So the
Oh, that was rough.
fake button keeps people safer while the traffic lights quietly just run on their own. When you press the button, you would assume it sends a signal. When you aim at the fly and pull the trigger, a cartridge in the handle releases a puff of compressed CO2. This triggers through the gun and into a magazine packed
How the pest pistol works.
with salt pellets. It breaks the thin film that holds the salt in place, and the pellets are blasted down the barrel toward the insect. When they hit, the tiny grains of salt knock the fly out. And when you cock the hammer, it rotates to a fresh chamber, so you're ready to kill your next fly. When you aim,
That is really smart, though. Really.
pour the water in before tying a rope to the handle. Then swing it in a full circle above your head. And even when the bucket is upside down at the top of the loop, the water stays inside instead of falling out. You see, as the bucket spins, the water is forced to move in a circle too, and the force of the swing pushes the water into the bottom of the bucket, hard enough to beat the
Yeah, that is true.
gravity pulling it down. But if you're not going fast enough, the outward push gets too weak. Gravity takes over, and the water falls straight out.
There's your shower.
He climbed into the coffin and was buried 9 feet deep. The coffin was 7 feet long and was filled with books, a small
That is comfortable, but what if you run out of oxygen?
TV, and an electric light. A metal ventilation tube brought
All right.
fresh
You
air
got me.
inside, and every day they passed food down the tube. In return, the man pooped in a bag and passed
Oh,
it
come
back
on,
up.
that's disgusting.
People paid to talk to the man down the shaft, and he kept busy by reading books, watching a handheld TV, and exercising in the tiny space. After almost 5 months, he was finally dug up, breaking the world record.
That is really, really smart.
Stick the probes into the sausages, then connect them to a circuit board. Now place your hand on a metal plate with a wire connecting it back to the board. When you touch the sausage, electricity travels through the wet, salty meat, through your body, into the plate, and through the ground wire back to the board. This completes the circuit for that one sausage. The board will detect it like a button being pressed, and it instantly sends that signal to a
A sausage button.
computer, where it's turned into a piano note. Since each sausage is wired to a different key on the board, you're now ready to play your sausage piano. Stick the probes into the
Sausage piano.
If a cow is born with two heads, they can each have their own working brain, but inside,
Isn't that interesting? Two-headed
their
cow.
shared heart doesn't work correctly, and their lungs are too small. You see, in the cow's womb, a single egg can sometimes split in two, and this creates identical twins, but if it doesn't split all the way, the body keeps growing halfway separated. This can
Oh, that is a good point. That is a good point.
cause their heart to divide unevenly, and their lungs can collapse while their stomach can form with missing parts, leaving the calf struggling to breathe and eat from the moment it's born. And even if it somehow manages to survive, its body grows weaker as those defects add up, meaning two-headed calves never live past their second birthday. If a
Alright, interesting. Alright. Well, guys, I think I'm gonna have to end it here. And I hope you like this video, and I'll definitely see you in the next one, alright? Bye-bye.